everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tina's Arena. Today we have on Jo, and she is here to tell us a story.
Hi, Tina. Thanks for having me on the podcast. The story I want to share with you today is the story of how I found energy healing. My sister wanted me to go with her on a retreat to Costa Rica in December 2022. She has been on her own journey and found meditation. She's been asking me to join her in her little meditation podcast for at least 2 years. And I always said, no, thank you. Then fast forward to January 2023, curated a beautiful 3-day wellness retreat. And we did some sound healing, breath work, to say the least. And I remember during the sound bath and breath work, I exhaled the last of my concussion. I have suffered at least 4 concussions in my lifetime, and that caused me to take time off work. And I had no idea that during the experience of the sound bath and breath work, there was this excruciating pain where I got hurt, and then it was gone. So after that, my sister, as routine, when she did her meditation, she would always offer me her earbud. And I remember, I think it was January 4th or 5th, 2023, I said, sure. And since then, I have not looked back from meditation. And so fast forward, I was at a Tony Robbins conference, and I happened to meet another person from Toronto out of the 10,000 people who were there. And we happened to meet, and his name is Satinder Gill. And I happened to share with him that I was having some stomach pains that day. And he said, would you like the pain to go away? And I said, now? And he's like, yes, right now. But he's like, you have to be open and willing. So I said, yes. So I stood up, and he waved his hands for a good 10 minutes. And I kid you not, the pain was gone. And I literally looked at him and I said, what did you do? What did you do? And he said, it's energy healing. It's actually called pranic healing. And one of Tony Robbins' healers is named Master Co, and he practices this. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, if you are interested in learning, there are conferences that you can go to, and everyone is naturally a healer. It's just a matter of remembering what it's like and also being taught from the actual source. And so I ended up saying yes. I signed up for the course. It's 5 days. It's called Healer's Mastery. It was highly intensive. We went for about 12 to 14 hours each day. And I have never looked back since. I've done that course twice already. There are other courses that you can do that deal with energy and prosperity and energy and just your daily life. And I've taken the prosperity course at least 3 times. And the reason why I keep going back is because not only does it make me feel good, I'm actually injury-free. So if anyone has known me, I've known you since 2019. But before that, I was actually injured for a good 7 years from, I think, around 2012 to 2019, actually, funny enough, with knee injuries and sciatica. And then I got a concussion in 2019. That was my worst one. And I sit here before you being stronger than ever, injury-free. It's not solely just from the energy work, but it was all because I happened to say yes to my sister and those choices that I made to have to say yes and open up all these opportunities. And then meeting a random person all the way in London, UK, Birmingham, actually, so it's even further, and saying yes to going to this energy class. And then I also too now practice it daily. And if I was to explain to you now, it's just amazing how all those choices can lead up to me being here with you today. Another part I would love to share is that when I was learning the stuff about energy work, I don't know if you remember, Tina, but I think I would actually talk to you, message you, be like, oh my God, Tina, this stuff is so cool. All these lessons or theories about self-improvement. And I wanted to kind of heal everyone around me or fix everyone around me. And you just want to share. So I don't know if you ever have felt like that when you're learning something new.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest lesson that I learned is if you want to help others, you have to help yourself first. And so this whole experience of healing and energy work is you lead by example. And so I think because then I realized that and decided to live my life through example. And I can see it through your life as well. When you are doing certain projects or you want to be a certain someone, you literally are doing it for you versus trying to fix someone else first. So what I'm trying to say is, as I've decided to lead by example, do the practices myself rather than picking other people that I want to fix, it changed my world even more, because then people around me were asking me, how come you're more calm and more patient? And I was like, me? Cool, thank you. And what is it that you've been doing? And I said, I also do energy healing. And even my mom is one of the strongest people I know in my life. And she just loves so hard. She had diagnosed with 2 brain aneurysms back in 2021, got surgery in September 2021. Now, by December 2024, they're healed. The aneurysms are gone. And so coincidentally enough, I started practicing energy work in 2023, and just, I think, being proximity, like that's when I moved back home. And so it was really cool to see. She actually, one of my favorite moments of 2024 was when my mom said yes to meditating with me. So it kind of comes full circle when my sister is always asking me. And then I asked my mom, and I will never forget that day because she said no for the whole year. And it wasn't until December 2024 where she said yes. And whether or not energy work or the fact that I've been practicing it or it's in our family's lives now had anything to do with healing her aneurysms, I'm still very grateful for that.
It just happened to happen at the same time.
Just happened to happen at the same time. Coincidence. We just want to say it's a coincidence. So I think that journey, just seeing how if I want to help people, I need to help myself first. Mm-hmm. So that is probably the coolest but most powerful learning that I now actually talking to you about it. I'm like, I think that's the right path. And so I'm very grateful that you're asking me about the story, because that is one way to just help the world and heal.
I think sharing your story helps you kind of own it, even though you already knew it was there and it was yours. Just speaking it aloud makes it more real somehow.
Yes. And I think you also just mentioned this earlier, but sometimes when you're in the story, it doesn't feel as if it's significant or important. Or when I asked you if you want to write a book, and sometimes you're like, I'm not as adventurous yet to share that. But for me to share the story with you, it's like, it's just my story though on your podcast. But you're right, when you say the story out loud, it's like, that happened. And I am owning that story. And that's really cool. And I've also learned that everyone's story is their own, and that's what makes it powerful. And it helps resonate with other people. And if my story can help ignite whatever it is that they're trying to find, whether it is because they're in physical pain or emotional pain, or they're just trying to find something or a reason to change, then that's also so cool if the story can do that.
You said you practice every day. What does that look like?
So actually, one of my favorite things to do, and I am a big procrastinator from work tasks, but what really helps is meditation. So I do a guided meditation that's called Twin Hearts. It's like a foundational meditation in pranic healing. There's a recording that's given. Actually, Grandmaster Choa, he left his body, I think about in 2008, but he was actually an engineer by trade. So what's also really cool about this practice is that they were engineers first, and all they did was do experiments to see if they do this kind of healing, what happens to the body if they do this. So long story short, they were able to capture his essence or his teachings through CDs and stuff. So I do listen to the audio. It's also readily on YouTube now, because some people have shared that as well. And so what it would look like is sometimes between 15 to 20 minutes of guided meditation. And then sometimes my evening practice is Epsom salt foot soak to help cleanse and release any negative energy and also receive blessings. And then also do that guided meditation.
And you do that every day or most days?
I noticed that my meditation is better in the evening. Mm-hmm. But now I've noticed sometimes with summer happening, I do happen to do it maybe at least 3 times a week. And I do like to throw in just a 5 to 10 minute of no guided meditation and just sit. It's actually better for me to sit outside, and I ground my bare feet on the grass, and I do that for about 5 minutes. How often, you say? Probably if I get the chance, once a week.
When you were talking about your decision to go to the healing conference, or when you said yes, you said there was just a feeling and you just kind of followed it. Was there any hesitation? Or like, was your like logical mind being like, no, what are you doing? What was that like?
Yeah, because one, just met this person in Birmingham, UK. He's from Toronto, but he's also part of the Tony Robbins Platinum family. So what that is a special membership that Tony Robbins has. And so not everyone is part of that. So I know that at least that's one level of good people's. But that person is actually just someone I just met. And so when you ask me about logic, the finances, paying for the hotel, paying for the flight, paying for the conference themselves, I want to say I didn't think twice about it, but maybe it wasn't until after I already paid for it that the logic or your mind started to be like, is this the right thing? Like, what are you doing? You literally just met these people and you're going to go spend money on something you don't know. If I was to be honest, though, I guess I didn't have as much doubt as one would think, because I think internally I just felt like it was the right decision. However, the mind loves making you overthink. And it did set in for a bit after the fact when I spent the money. Sometimes if I was to tell my mom, why are you spending money on these things? It doesn't make sense. Like, it's stuff that you don't know. And so sometimes that's also the downside of when you share things with others. They could put doubt in your mind. So not only the logical side, but the doubts of other people's narratives, because they don't know. But in all honesty, it wasn't as resistant as I thought it would be.
Okay.
So that's a very great question.
Would you say you didn't believe in energy work before this all happened?
I've always believed in some sort of higher power. Like I do believe in God. I used to pray and used to be part of church. I know there is of greater power that's out there, but whether now it's called energy healing or energy work, now I have a terminology for it. But I think I always knew that there's some sort of power at work that we can't see. And if it all connects to the idea of all the energy, spirituality stuff, then I think I've always known for it to exist, especially if I'm someone who has faith and believes in a God.
And I think you are also generally very open to new ideas, to receiving. You're very friendly, you're very kind, you're very giving. I think it was very easy for that person from Toronto to just like approach you because like you were a yes.
Yeah, but now that actually brings up something, this stuff or this energy healing or healing in general won't work if you don't believe in it. So if a person says no, I can do all the amount of healing that I can do and it won't work for them.
Why do you think that is the case?
Let's talk about it from an energetic perspective. When someone says no, it's literally putting up a wall. And so it's like not consent. It's kind of cool where you can't do something without someone's consent. I think that's very respectable. For me, I'm all about respect and fairness and integrity.
Yeah.
And so energetically, I feel, and whether this is true or not, that when someone does not give their consent, then it's not going to work. Another thing is like we were told what you believe comes true, right? So whether you're going to have a good day or a bad day, you're right. Have you heard of that before? If we focus on all the bad things that are going to happen, what are we going to see? All the bad things. If we focus on all the good things that are going to happen, what are we going to notice? All the good things. So I think also that plays into it. And so if I really think it's not going to work, then I'm going to look for all the things that prove it's not going to work.
So as a person that is trying to be more positive, how do I, like, say something bad happens to me? Say I crashed my car into a pole. How do I go about that?
The first thing that comes to mind is if you were able to walk away from that, that itself is a positive. The fact that you're able to walk away. I do, now that you bring up that kind of scenario, I've had people in the past be like, Joe, I feel like you might think this way because you don't want to feel whatever negative thing you're feeling or feel the lesson or whatever. You always just want to pave it over with a positive thought.
Toxic positivity.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? And then in my mind, I was like, do I do that? Let's do a little check here. Do I do that? And I think I can confidently say that I don't do that. Maybe I might have in the past, but if our choices, if we have the power to choose our thoughts, why wouldn't I use the same energy to choose a productive or positive thought versus the negative or unproductive thought or the destructive thought? So to answer your question about, okay, the scenario of you crashed your car into the pole, how can I be more positive from it? I guess the first thing is the fact that if you're still alive, that's a blessing. And then two, the fact that if you didn't hurt anyone else, right? If it was just the car itself, I think that is also enough to notice like I was able to walk away, or I don't have any critical injuries and I didn't hurt anyone else. Does that answer your question?
That makes sense. Yeah. Because if I'm just imagining that scenario, I feel like my regular response just be like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, like, how could I let that happen? Yeah. Like things along that line. So those are very much destructive thoughts and not helpful. So just to reframe that and to think the way that you're thinking, I can see how it would be beneficial.
That pattern thinking of, oh, I'm such an idiot, or I made a mistake. I've done it. I still do it at times. And I think to add another suggestion to your question, in addition to saying that, was I able to walk away from it, is, okay, I went a little too fast, or this is too dangerous. I made a mistake. I won't do that again. So it's more of a learning versus punishing yourself. And I guess, am I allowed to ask you a question?
Yeah.
And I guess when I say those things, you know how people these days, they're noticing the power of words and how what you do tell yourself, your body listens to. So for example, when you make a mistake, do you always say, such an idiot, or you're a dumbass, or I'm so dumb, I'm so stupid? Do you think that in your perspective, it is necessary, or I guess maybe productive, to try and change that self-talk? Is that something that you've noticed that you wanted to do, or like literally it's proven that it is better for anyone to try?
I've noticed that I want to be more positive. I think my thoughts tend to skew negatively or self-destructive. And I'm obviously not like super happy with the person that I am. Okay, maybe not obvious, but
It's not obvious. It's not.
But there's just something like, there's always just, I don't know, this layer of like more, like it could be better. Like my life is pretty good, but I'm also 100% sure that it could be better. And it's not really about getting more, having more. It's about my attitude about myself, I think.
Interesting. I don't believe you when you say you're this tough on yourself. I wish I could shake you and show in the mirror like, oh man, but it's actually really cool that you realize it's not about having more, it's the attitude that you have. But as your friend, I literally see you as this beacon of positive light and love, and the willingness to try something and fail and learn. Like that's how I see you. So it's not hard for me to hear, because it's not like the first time you mentioned it, but after all your growth.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to turn this on you now.
No. Okay.
After all your growth, does it still feel like it's not, and I know you just said it, but does it actually feel like it's not enough?
I mean, I think you know this a lot. I always say like, I wish I was more fun.
Yeah.
I wish I was more energetic. I think that's just been like a general theme of my life. Like, I don't know, what else can I improve?
You know what's so cool though? The fact that you're not sitting around like complaining about it or moping about it.
I do.
Which is crazy because I don't think you do. But then again, like I only see you every so often, and I don't see how you are like with yourself. Like you with yourself and me with myself is very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying like different because of our personality, but different because like how you are with yourself is obviously very different with how you are with us as friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
And I don't know what's in here. And in here, I would like to assume, based on what you post and based on what you read, or at least what I think you do, like you've done a really great job at trying to filter out the shit and only allowing things in to help. And it's not perfect. And so that's why you recognize it and you're willing to grow. So in my opinion, like, yeah, you're like, damn, like Tina's always doing something, and it's always something that's productive or helpful. And I'm like sitting on my couch, maybe I'm meditating or not. But I hope you know that, yeah, you are definitely more than the word disappointment is not what I'm looking for, but one, you're not a disappointment. Two, if anything, you're literally such a great example of, if you want to change, you can, but it takes work. And
it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's exhausting.
It is actually.
But I was just talking to someone else about this, like also not changing and still not liking who you are is also exhausting.
Yeah. And so remember, I just mentioned before, you have this, let's just say, and maybe science can prove this, you have the same amount of energy to choose that positive thought or negative thought, which one would you want? I have the choice to look at what I don't have or look at what I do have. And what's cool is it's a choice. So unfortunately for some people, they feel like it's not their choice, but it actually is. No one else can tell you what to do except you, unless your life circumstances are different. So the master code that I follow, his stuff does say that it is literally a choice. But I know from experience being in the education field as well, trying to tell someone who has a mental health illness that it's their choice that they're in that may not be necessarily helpful.
Yeah.
So I guess it all depends on how to get that message there, because it is a simple choice though. But sometimes depending on the person's circumstance, hearing that may feel very hurtful and not helpful.
Or they just might not understand that concept. And so at the end of the day, whether or not it is a choice, they don't know how to choose.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Because I think that's where I was at when I was depressed. Obviously, I'm not choosing to be there, but I didn't know any different. Number one, I didn't know like why I was in it. And I didn't also understand that it was a signal that something was wrong. I thought that like this was just it, and I was just like stuck in my unhappiness, and I didn't realize that I could have changed it. It took, I don't know what it took to break me out of that. I don't remember anymore, but yeah, like when you're in it, you're in it. You can't see outside, I guess.
I have another question. Can I ask? So now that you've gone through your own journey and what you just mentioned, and you actually just mentioned that you don't remember how you got out of it, because people pay money to fix themselves, let alone, let's say, to heal from.
Oh, girl, you don't know how much money I spent.
Right. But this is what essentially teachers, mentors, coaches like Tony Robbins, just using that as from my previous story, but he also has built his program on the fact that he's gone through what he did, from literally being on the streets to now, let's say, multi-billionaire, trying to encourage people, motivate people. But what I'm trying to say is you've been there through your journey, overcoming depression, living with your ADHD. I'm going to ask you, try and remember the, I guess, top 5 things that perhaps could help someone, whether it is being happier with yourself or overcoming your depression, or I guess what would the tips be? Because I think that's what people kind of would want to know and resonate with. So how it works is you've done that learning, and now you want to maybe, if you want to, shorten it for others. But I guess my question is, what would be your tip?
I think at the end of the day, it comes back to that personality trait of me never having enough and always looking for that extra layer, because I know there is more to life than this. Like, there's no way this is it. So with that underlying, I don't know, personality trait of mine, even when I was depressed, even when I had my eating disorder, like I was always trying to fix myself. I have just been on a continuous journey of education, just nonstop education. And if I couldn't solve a problem, then I just keep learning about it until eventually I solve it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my education has always been like self-serving. When I had my eating disorder, I was obsessed with fitness and nutrition and just learning all that I could about it. And then I healed myself from my eating disorder. And then I moved on to, I don't know what I moved on to, like coaching and building an online business and stuff like that. I think that's like the number one thing for me, is like I never gave up and I just always continued to learn.
And I love that you also mentioned the learning that you're doing was self-serving. But I mean, it also inherently and later serves others. So, and it's okay that it was that.
I think that's my journey, is to unfortunately suffer, but learn and then share. Because I have no problem. I know a lot of people have problems talking about their past, sharing and stuff, but I have no problem with that. So I think it's a part of my journey, is to share and talk about it.
Yeah.
And to get other people to share and talk about it.
Yeah, because I never really thought about it until you asked the question. It's kind of nice when you get to reflect on what you've done and how far you've come, but also the why. Why am I doing this in the first place? And so thank you for that.
Of course. Thank you for being here.
I actually brought one of my favorite books. Can I share with you what it's about?
Yeah.
This book found me when I was doing some cleanup. And it's the second book that's found me. So the first book that found me during my healing journey is by Louise Hayes. And I think I told this to you. And I was like, it was published when we were born. Okay. I know when my sister was born, I think 1984. I don't know how it ended up in my room, but it's called Heal Your Body. And the premise behind it is behind every physical ailment, there's some sort of energetic component. And it could be alleviated or helped with by affirmations. These are thought patterns that, because thoughts carry energy. And so when you say a certain affirmation, it actually has a certain energetic component, helps your body heal. Anyhow, it's mind-blowing. So then this one found me when I was cleaning, and it's called Daily Guidance from Your Angels by Doreen Virtue. And so what I do is when I meditate, it's kind of like a tarot reading, but I open to a page. So there's 365 messages. And I kid you not, every time I've opened the book, it's a message that I needed to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd love to give you the opportunity to just open to a page.
Okay.
And there's going to be 2 messages, either both you want to read about, or you just pick the one. And maybe we'll see what kind of message is for you and I today.
Okay.
Does it?
Yeah. Very good.
So you can just hold it, and then you can flip through it, or just open to a page. And
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're going to read that one?
Yeah. It says, let go of self-judgment.
The angels always right. Keith, if you're listening, this book is 10 for 10.
Well, ultimately, the only person you need to forgive is yourself. Any anger, resentment, or grudges that you hold towards others can always be traced back to feelings you have about yourself. This is why some of your attempts to forgive others have seemed unsuccessful. Until you forgive yourself, self-reproach will bleed into your relationships with those around you. Self-forgiveness is different from accepting blame. Instead, it means first facing your feelings of guilt or anger. Admitting these feelings to yourself releases the power they had over you previously, while they remained hidden secrets. Your self-candor will lead you to the understanding that you didn't do anything bad, because nothing wrong can happen in God's universe. Today, forgive yourself for what you think you did or didn't do. Release the illusion of blame or self-contempt. Since you're 100% love, just like your Creator, you're only capable of cherishing yourself. The thought for today: I release any judgment towards myself as I view myself through the lens of love. I have compassion for myself, knowing that I am always doing the best I can. God's universe is perfect now and always. That's right on point.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you. Tell Edward.
Thank you for sharing that.
I just felt like I wanted to share this with you because, 1, I think like you're also open to things like this.
Mm-hmm.
But 2, it's just a coincidence, right? It's just a coincidence.
I want to ask you the same thing you kind of asked me. What is like a tip you have, maybe for yourself 10 to 20 years ago?
The first thing that comes to mind is taking care of your body. It's like I've literally been told throughout all my injuries and given remedies, and I've kind of ignored it because it wasn't as bad. If I was to have a tip, your body is your temple. And I don't think I'll ever make fun of, not that I did, but ever make fun of anyone who cherishes sleep or wants to take care of the body, go to the gym. And so one tip would be, physical activity is your medicine, the best medicine. And it can heal in addition to love. But the best thing is to take care of this body because you only have one.
I agree. I know you do healing work and you can take on clients. Mm-hmm. So if people want to talk to you, find out more about you, your healing work, where do they find you?
I do have an Instagram page that is in construction phase, but it's called Well Healing Vibes. But for now, email is great. jojo@mwexperiences.com. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the episode. If you live in Windsor-Essex County area in Ontario, Canada, then you should know that I host an open mic live storytelling event the last Saturday of every month at Aloe Lounge on Erie Street in Little Italy from 5 to 7 p.m. If you don't know what open mic storytelling is, well, I encourage anyone to come up and share their story. We have different themes every month. The event celebrates connection, our humanness, our emotions, our rawness. It gives us space to really express ourselves and to have people listen, because I feel like we don't really get too much of this anymore. It is essentially a gathering of the souls and sharing a little part of ourselves with each other, whether it be a funny story, a sad story, a happy story, a romantic story, any story that is yours, you can share. And I'm loving the community that is coming from this event. So come to the event. I hope to see you there. You can purchase tickets at talesofthetown.ca.